Hey guys, what's going on? I know it's been a week or two since I posted a video. This video is actually a little bit more personal. I know there's millions and millions of videos out there on YouTube regarding depression, but I believe everybody has a different story to tell. I'm going to tell you about mine. Back when I was in 8th grade, I had overwhelming feelings of suicide. I know I was a teenager, I was young. All I had to do was go to school, do my homework, listen to my parents, have fun with my friends, and just be a kid. But we all know the teenage years and the depression and the expectation of doing well in a sport you play or doing well in school for that matter. Now, I wasn't a rough, wild kid. I was a very average student. Actually, to be honest with you, I was completely below average. My attention span was very null. If the teacher didn't make it interesting, I was bombed out. I was thinking about what I was going to do the weekend. I was thinking about I played football. I was thinking about my Friday night football game. And I was probably thinking about my girlfriend at the time, or lack thereof. But that's kind of where it all started. Me not being a super popular guy in school, not being the big, huge, tremendous academic athlete and the popular guy or whatever, and seeing attention go to the other ones that were actually popular, that kind of sucked. But I knew in my own mind that I was going to be me and I wasn't going to change. I wasn't going to be anybody else. Now, this all started when I was in 8th grade. I had realized I was going home and going to my room and reading my comics until it was bedtime. So the time I got home was like 3:45, 4 o'clock. I'd sit in my room. I'd read my comics. A lot of times I'd just lay in bed and think. And a lot of those thoughts were how worthless I was or felt at the time. There'd be a lot of times I'd sit or lay, either way you look at it, I'd cry for absolutely no reason at all. I was active into lifting weights, playing football. Like I said, I was kind of a jock, not the popular one. When I'd come home and I'd sit in my room, I'd sit on my weight bench, and for hours I would just stare out my window into the distance, out into the farming fields, just wondering when things were going to get better. Again, that continued thought of being worthless, the overwhelming amount of thoughts of suicide and ending my life. Again, this is not an easy thing to talk about, so I'm posting this to hopefully help somebody out there and let you know you're not alone when you struggle with depression. I know I have a couple friends that I hold very near and dear to my heart that have depression, and I'm sure you're going to watch this. So there is a light at the end of this tunnel, and I'm going to tell you how here at the end of this video. Anyway, one day, my parents decided it would be a good day to take me to the doctors. They knew I was acting strange just by going to my room and coming when I come home from school and just chilling and not saying a word and not smiling. Now, I was never very academic in school. I was never very smart. Like I said earlier, I was always a below average student. And for some reason, my mom bought me a bookmark. But this bookmark wasn't just any bookmark. It actually had a penny in it with holes drilled in it, and it looked like a smiley face. That's something I still have, and it's something I still hold very near and dear to my heart. My mom knew I wasn't smiling very much, so as I said, she took me to the doctor, and the doctor is where it all began. She had me fill out a questionnaire regarding depression, and one of those questions that stood out to me that was a big standout to her, was a big red flag to her, was, do you ever feel like crying for no reason? I don't exactly remember if they put me on any medication for the depression. I know I've taken Zoloft. Zoloft didn't do absolutely anything for me. Unfortunately, I tried to kill myself about 4 times. It's not a thought you want to think about. Um, there was 2 times with a knife, once with a gun, and once with pills. And a lot of people don't know, I smile a lot more now, but in all honesty, sometimes, most of the time, it's a fake smile. Um, I'm not happy with myself. I still struggle with this, not as much as I did when I was a teenager, obviously. I'm a grown man now. I'm 32, almost 33 here in a couple more months. And I'm happy to say I found a way to reach out of that darkness, to get out of that spot in life where you feel alone, you feel cold, you feel worthless. I was tired of crying. I was tired of being alone. I was tired of having nothing to do. So, one day, my parents realized something that might be a good help for me. My dad said, "Come on, let's go to the music store. Let's just look around. I know you like to look at instruments." So we were at the store. I looked around and I found a cheaper drum kit. It was $400. I know that might not be cheap to some people, but it is actually a cheaper kit. And I loved it. It was even my favorite color, which is blue if you guys don't know. Anyway, after school one day, we had football practice and I went over to my buddy's house. After leaving my buddy's house and coming home, I went upstairs to my room to throw my bags and my football equipment in there. And I opened my door, turned my light on, and looked to my right, and boom. There was that beautiful blue drum set that I had picked out. My very first musical instrument. I had always been interested in guitar or the bass guitar, but something about the drums just kind of lit a fire inside me and made me want to learn. So I took up music. I started learning songs. I got in my first band shortly after, maybe a few months down the road. I found that music really helped me release some bad vibes and energy that I had. I was reaching towards the light. I was reaching out of that darkness of depression. I've surrounded myself with positive people. My best friend, at the time, he was not around a lot. He had just gone away to the military, but when he come home, it was awesome to see him. And I had 2 more friends in high school that were positive and always joking around with me, always made me laugh. Again, I was never really medicated for depression. I just kind of took it over in my own mind and just decided to go with it. Now I understand I may be having a minimal case of depression. Everybody differs. Depression can affect people in different ways. Like I said, if you lose a job, if nothing goes right for you, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You have to keep chugging. You have to keep going. If you need medication, get medication. If you need counseling, get counseling. If you need a friend to vent to somebody. Everybody has a friend out there you can vent to. I've done my research on this, and I know that over 350 million people in the world struggle with depression or some form of. Like I said, what got me out of mine was the power of music and the power of positive people. You have to find strength. You have to find courage to reach out of that darkness and succeed. You have to keep pushing forward. there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Like I said, my depression case is very minimal. As said before, I would come home, I would lay in bed for hours, I would feel worthless, I would feel unwanted, I would cry for no reason at all. I would sit and stare out my window for hours and feel completely alone. And it's not fun. And for you guys that have never struggled with depression, you don't know what it's like. So when somebody says they're depressed, listen to what they have to say. You listening to what they have to say may stop them from committing an awful act. And that's the last thing you want on your mind, is knowing that if you had just taken the time to listen to somebody with an issue, they could still be around. The suicide rate is definitely very high in teenagers, but there is adult depression too. Like I said, depression affects people differently. You just gotta listen to folks. Again, let them vent, let them talk to you. If you know a way to help them, help them. Depression is not a joke. It is very real. And you have to be there for people. So if you know somebody who is struggling in life, be their positive ear. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them if you can help them in some way. You're not alone, and there is people out there to help keep your spirits alive, keep your head up. Bottom line, you guys be good to each other. Thanks for watching. I hope I helped. You can like this. You can subscribe. That would be awesome. You can share it if you know somebody who's got an issue. Until next time, be good to each other.